Kuzangpa and a very warm welcome to our weekly news magazine program with me, Tandon Finso. Our top stories this week: His Majesty is on a royal tour of areas under lockdown. Government plans to postpone school reopening to mid-April for classes 8 and below. And 30% of the 59 executives at the director position level failed to meet the expectations. His Majesty the King arrived in Phuentsholing last Saturday. His Majesty is on a royal tour of areas under lockdown since 23rd January. While in Phuentsholing, His Majesty held meetings with the Southern COVID-19 Task Force and also visited the town to speak to people who had come out to buy essential supplies. Phuentsholing has been under lockdown since the 15th of January. Before arriving in Phuentsholing, His Majesty visited Nganglam from Samduzongkar and granted an audience to the Nganglam COVID-19 Task Force. With newer variants of the virus proving to be more transmissible and harder to control, His Majesty emphasized the importance of vaccinations in reducing transmissions as well as protecting against severe infections. His Majesty reminded task force teams to continue encouraging the people to get vaccinated. The Prime Minister is accompanying His Majesty. Tandon Finso, BBS News. The government plans to reopen schools for classes 8 and below in the country by mid-April. The Prime Minister said that it is safe to reopen schools by mid-April as children in these age groups will be fully vaccinated by then. The children aged between 5 and 11 will receive their COVID vaccine beginning 10th of March. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry is working to finalize the dates for schools to reopen, which will be announced soon. However, the ministry has said mid-March to reopen schools for classes 9 and above for now.
인당이비기 인세케지 예루임에 안으로 같이 갑리나 보로루휘 렌달라바샤 주탐 디지나 그나라 갑다멈니잡 렌dun타 숨다 지기잡레 인세 지비기 인다 지비기 인세 나두질라 팔로 갑린테 이범데 잡사베 데 갑린테 이범디 주두디기베 dun타치 데치기 잡레 베와진 델롭도 수행하치 곱치니 고고 fü수베 수슈니비 아니보드든 셰릴 행카다 같이 칼랍도다 칼랍디기베 젠 인나 숨맘기 데 dun타 다맘나 델롭도 곱치니 이메라 다네 같이 기다레 파피 잡디기베 데 인다 지비기 답체 고찰라파 에프릴 미드나로 다니베 같이 아두수 갑잡 갑기 쥐디 주칼로 톱베 dun타 치데치기 잡레 갑린테 이범디 잡사이기 dun타 치데치기 잡레베 곱치와진.
The residents of Baju town in Wangdipoda are anxious as the district continues to report increasing COVID cases from the community despite the restrictions. They now want the task force to share the way forward. Baju town, which is identified as a red zone, has remained closed for more than a month now. Following the mass testing, the task force has started relaxations and initiated a zoning system on Monday. An individual from each household is allowed to go out for essential shopping. However, the residents are worried that the restrictions may prolong further.
We have many shopkeepers and a lot of people employed by the business community in Baju town.
It's more than a month in lockdown. So we want to ask the task force's plans about the way forward. The community continues to see increasing cases, which is confusing the public.
We are worried about how to pay the house rent if the lockdown prolongs. Likewise, I am worried about whether I will be able to pay the income tax. We are being reminded about it through social media that we will be fined if we fail to pay it within due date.
Our savings are exhausting now. Especially, people working in private sector are suffering to pay their house rent. Moreover, schools will resume soon, and we are worried about how to reach our children to schools.
Sources say lack of enough security personnel, the public not complying with health protocols and the detection of new cases through mass screening could have added to the increasing positive cases. Most of the cases are now found in the villages. The task force said although a large number of cases from the community is worrisome, they are monitoring and evaluating the pattern of the outbreak and severity of the disease. The task force added that testing and other restriction measures will be put in place to break the chain of transmission. The task force said they are relaxing the restrictions depending on the outbreak pattern. Wangdipota recorded more than 1,200 COVID cases since the first community case detected from the Puna Sangchu 1 hydropower project on 16th January. There are over 600 active cases in the district as of today. For Chengadojin Wangdipota, this is Tandin Finso for BBS News. Owing to the overwhelming COVID-19 cases from the community, Wangdipota has started implementing a community-based isolation facility to manage COVID patients. Currently, the district has more than 700 COVID patients. More than 260 of them are kept in community-based isolation facilities.
The community-based isolation facilities are located at Banteka in Rubisa Gewog, Peteka Primary School and Jeroga in Ada Gewog, Lawaka in Gase Sokom and Basushu in Daga Gewog. According to the regional task force, around 40% of individuals in each of these communities tested positive for the coronavirus. However, only asymptomatic COVID patients are being kept in community-based isolation facilities. According to the task force, community-based isolation is being initiated as a convenient option for the COVID patients in the villages following people's requests. The majority of the patients do not have anyone to attend to household chores, including looking after cattle if they are taken to isolation centers. However, the task force said dedicated teams of health staff with emergency medical supplies have been deployed for each of these community-based isolation facilities for emergency health services. The task force added that security personnel have also been deployed at strategic entry and exit points to monitor the movement of people and prevent the virus spread. According to the task force, COVID patients with pre-existing medical condition, infants, elderly people and unvaccinated children have been moved to the hotels and resorts. For Jangadoji in Wandafada, Pupkim BBS News.
The majority of the COVID-positive students from the two high schools in Sarpang have recovered and are back in schools preparing for the board exams. 230 students staying on campus at Kyundrup High School and Sarpang Central School tested positive for COVID-19 last month.
Currently, there are 6 positive cases at Kyundrup High School. 140 students from the school have recovered. The students tested positive after a cook in the school tested positive on the 27th January. According to the school administration, the positive cases are in stable condition with no symptoms as of now. They are isolated in the separate rooms with attached bathroom. Kyundrup High School has 152 students on campus, 78 boys and 74 girls.
There is no serious illness among all these positive cases. And then regarding the online classes, the teachers are doing guiding students well, and the students are also preparing well. We only hope that this coming up examination will be done smoothly.
According to the Sarpang District Education Officer, most of the students of Sarpang Central School have also recovered and are reportedly back on campus from isolation wards in Kelevu. 84 students from Sarpang Central School tested positive after a girl from the school tested positive from Sarpang Flu Clinic last month. Meanwhile, Sarpang recorded more than 800 positive cases in the last 30 days. Of it, over 400 individuals have recovered so far. There are currently around 300 active cases in isolation facilities in the Tsongkhag. For Karmawandi in Sarpang, Bimasaldun Singh, BBS News.
No one encounters the devastating impact of COVID on daily basis than frontline workers. They are at increased risk of getting COVID compared to the general community. Thousands of frontline workers are at the heart of the problem, trying to keep everyone safe. And Desups are one of them, working 24/7.
They are out on the streets patrolling the towns and villages. and they are there whenever some kind of service has to be delivered. Day soups are everywhere, helping everyone. They have become an important part of the arsenal to battle the pandemic. But frontline workers are testing positive for COVID with prolonged exposure to risk. In the last 1 month, Sarpang reported more than 800 new cases, and some 50 day soups are among them. Ugen Choden is one of the day soups who tested positive for COVID and recovered.
Tamashura positive mia quarantine facilities ki diodi de sutheme sinila da ko positive theme ni din chorala kon thi shosho sheshe thonto be theme sinila da full pp kende verura sanitize be de verura da duty sagora positive patient da primary contact district duty bini di ranjingira da positive theme sinila
damchulora ani duty bini se theme wala donga te ani omukoren de khemi sarani gadamchibe thowachin ngarai samchani sir gadamchibe thowachin ani duty be shogani lalishumchibe ani be top sowachin khemi sessionila.
They have the responsibility of saving lives while they worry about their families. Besides battling COVID, they are fighting with so many other things, and people's support will go a long way to heal them. For Karmondin Sarpang, Sringdandup, BBS News.
The Royal Civil Service Commission's leadership assessment found that 30% of the executives at the director position level failed to meet the expectations. 59 executives were assessed. Now they will be demoted to lower level positions or given the option to resign or retire. This is the third in a series of assessments for executives in the civil service. The rest will be considered for higher level appointments if they do well in the additional responsibilities. During earlier leadership assessment exercises, almost half of the 62 executives in the secretary and director general position levels had failed to meet the expectations. People of Langpa and Nobgang villages of Samar Gyeokhin-ha are disappointed with the quality of a newly built integrated drinking and irrigation water facility. The facility, worth more than 32 million ngutum, is unreliable. Moreover, it has not been handed over to the community yet, though works were completed more than 2 years ago.
About an hour's drive from Langpa village is where the source of the 11-kilometer-long canal is located. The source is filled with sand and debris. Villagers have to often clear the mess. An empty signboard awaits the unveiling event. This footage, shared by a local, also shows a herd of yaks crossing the stream right at the source. Besides, the pipes get burst often, and many a time, the villagers are left without water.
We first received the water from the new facility 3 years ago, but we would have only been benefited by it for about a year. During the public consultation, we were told the facility would benefit us for several centuries. However, when defects start occurring this soon, we feel unhappy. Moreover, it is a huge waste of government's resources.
The pipes get burst especially during winter due to ice formation. Villagers say pipes which are meant to be properly covered have been kept exposed in several areas. Though they have attempted to join, it is difficult because the pipes are big. Even if they succeed, the joints give way to water pressure soon afterwards. Back in the village, people have to fetch water from a pond while some rely on spring water. There are more than 60 households in the Chiok.
Fetching water from the pond has especially become difficult for people who raise cattle. The pond is small and everyone depends on it. Today it is our only source of water. We don't know if the new source would be fixed.
The snow and ice these days have blocked the water. It's been a month without water now. The pond is located about 30 minutes walk below the village, so we have to carry water uphill.
We don't even get time to study or read storybooks like our friends in other villages during vacation. All we do here is fetch water throughout the day.
The district agriculture officer Karchung said the pipes could not be put underground in some areas due to slopey areas and geographical challenges. He also said the contractor fixed the pipes last year during the liquidity period followed by Gyeok and Songkhak administration.
Without a machine, it's very difficult to join the pipes. The project had plans to procure a jointing machine so that we can use it whenever such issues arise, but due to the COVID situation, it couldn't be procured. However, we are in contact with project officials about the purchase of the machine, and we are planning to address the problem as soon as possible.
He also said the contractor has handed over the project to the Songkhak and the Gyeok administration. However, he said it is not handed over to the community as there are rectification works that need to be carried out.
What people claim about the delayed handing-taking is true, but it's being deferred due to the ongoing issues which need to be addressed. Otherwise, people won't be happy if we give them a half-done project. We'll do all the rectification works and then form a water user association before the facility is handed over to them.
The Royal Audit Authority also observed faults in the construction works. Meanwhile, until the rectification works are carried out, people in Nobgang and Langpa will have to continue fetching water the hard way like in the past. For Kipchuinha, this is Pemal Hardin, BBS News.
Staying with the people of Langpa Nobgang villages, they say the Natural Resources Development Corporation or NRDCL's logging activities above their villages are doing more harm than benefiting them. They allege that the logging road has led to rampant illegal tree felling. They also blame the corporation for dumping waste and damaging their farm road.
Among the many concerns, villagers are especially worried about the damages NRDCL's tripper trucks would bring to the recently renovated farm road once logging works resume. Works are kept on halt due to farm road maintenance works. The NRDCL and the villagers share around 5 kilometers of the farm road. Around 7 million yultrum is being spent on laying base course on it, which is nearing completion.
Even if we repeatedly maintain our farm route, when NRDCL's timber-carrying trucks ply on the road, it gets damaged in no time. The other issue is that the truckers bring waste in their trucks and dump them illegally around our water source.
Moreover, villagers are worried that the timber extraction works could affect their water source. A road heading towards a logging area near the water source was blocked about a year ago after the Chiwok's water reservoir was built.
We are worried that the water might dry up if NRDCL keeps on cutting trees around it, as it is not a naturally flowing stream from the source itself. It is being formed by a collection of many small tributaries which are very vulnerable.
Currently, NRDCL hands over a yearly farm road maintenance budget to the GUB. However, people want the company to raise the amount as the current budget is barely able to maintain the road properly according to them. NRDCL's regional manager Kile Tenzin said the amount cannot be raised due to regulations.
Till 2015, all the maintenance works were done by NRDCL. Starting 2016, we started paying them an annual maintenance budget of 24,500 Newton per kilometer. Though the farm road is only around 4 kilometers, we pay for 5.5 kilometers, which comes around 133,000 Newton, but we are not sure if the amount is actually spent on maintaining the road. The budget was not fixed by the NRDCL. It is as per government's regulations.
He also said the logging works around the water source won't be continued as agreed, though timber extraction was planned for 5 years in the area initially. Regarding illegal tree felling, he added that the office tried to monitor but failed due to security reasons.
It is true that there is illegal timber extraction happening there. Till 2019, our timber depot was situated just above the villages, but the villages kept smuggling logs out of our depot. Moreover, when people felled trees illegally and our security personnel intervened, they were confronted. So we had to move the depot to Chapel as there were risks to our night guards.
He, however, said that the office is planning to build a checkpoint along the route. Meanwhile, the NRDCL's first forest management plan in Langpa Nobgang began in 2010 and ended in 2019. The second 10-year plan will begin soon, and disagreements between the community and the company is likely to continue. For Kipchu Inha, Tsringzam, BBS News.
Jaggery from Nanung Gyok in Pemagasel is quite popular. For most of the people there, it is one of their main sources of income. They have been making jaggery for decades, and they still make it today using the laborious traditional method. Jaggery is prepared by boiling raw sugarcane juice till it solidifies.
The farmers collect the sugar canes, the main ingredient of jaggery, from the fields. It is then taken to a makeshift processing unit where the sugar cane is crushed for juice extraction. The farmers make use of the machine as it's easier than the traditional method.
I started cultivating sugarcane when I was 16 or 17 years old. It has helped us make some income. Moreover, because of its availability, we take it as gifts when we visit our relatives. And that's how we have been able to keep this tradition alive.
I've seen my father making jaggery, and that's how I learned it. And since then, I haven't looked back. I make sure I teach the youth too.
The crushed juice is poured into jerry cans and taken home. The juice is then poured into a large pan and stirred continuously with the fire underneath being constantly adjusted. The process is repeated for nearly 7 hours. The making of jaggery is a beautifully strategized process that involves tremendous skills.
We must know the process properly. We have to keep stirring the liquid and do not let it become lumpy or burned. And if you boil beyond its limit, it will become something else. It is considered good when it turns yellow. We have to stir it continuously to free it from the impurities and dust.
Before shaping the liquid to the desired shape, they sprinkle corn flour on the flat wooden board with conically shaped holes. The corn flour ensures that the liquid does not stick to the wooden board. Once ready, they pour the liquid into the wooden board to solidify it. Through the laborious method of boiling the liquid for almost 7 hours, they get a tray of jaggery balls.
We heard that there is an electric oven, but we are yet to receive it. We are told we will be provided with one soon. If it is provided, then we don't have to struggle in the smoke like always. It will also help us reduce the use of firewood as we end up using a lot of it.
It is very difficult to cut trees, and we don't have many. We must burn at least 3 to 4 logs of firewood to boil a large pan of jaggery. So if there is an electric oven, then it will make a huge difference.
However, the exhausting method of making jaggery has not stopped them from giving up. About 100 households from the 2 Chioks in the Gyeok harvest sugarcane to produce jaggery.
We have been into the jaggery business for decades. However, some people find the process exhausting. But jaggery is the only source of income for us. We don't grow vegetables here, so this is the only way to make cash. That's why we give our best.
The sugarcane leaves and its waste after the juice are fed to the cattle. We earn a decent amount. We don't get customers at once. A few people buy 100 pairs at a time, but most of them just take 10 to 15 pairs.
They earn between 20,000 to 200,000 Newton annually. As per international research, Jaggery is known for its health benefits, which include its ability to cleanse the body and help in digestion. For Teledoji in Pemagatsal, Sunampem for BBS News.
That's all we have for you this week. Join us next time with yet another edition of Bhutan This Week. From me and rest of the team here, it's goodbye.